Welcome everyone to the Friday Night Live call-in show with me, your host, Mr. Rob G. We are going to have a great show here tonight as we start off with Happy Disclosure Day to everybody out there. Happy Disclosure Day. The day has finally come where we head off to the theaters to see what Steven Spielberg has brought to the table. Ladies and gentlemen, some of you may have seen this movie already. If you have, don't spoil it. Don't spoil it for the rest of us. And we will try tomorrow night when we have our Disclosure Day show with Kevin Day to do the same, to not spoil it for everybody. We will be having perspectives and attempting to go ahead and see what it is that we are going to see here. Looks like the chat is actually giving me a problem here. It's not loading in all your chats here, guys. So I may have to refresh my screen here for a minute. So give me a second. It's probably going to pop my face off the screen, but I'm coming right back on so I can make sure I can see your comments in the chat. So give me just a second. Oh, gosh, if I do that, we're going to be in a world of trouble, but we have to do it. So give me a second here. Let me do this so I can reload your comments. So let me try something first. See if that works for us here. Let me try to post something here. Can't post comments. Okay. All right. Well, it looks like we're good. We're good. We don't have to do it. Good. So with that being said, once again, Happy Disclosure Day. The day is finally here. We've been talking about this for almost a year now, anticipating the release of the movie. The movie is out. Steven Spielberg may have hit a home run with this and ushered in disclosure. Potentially, we will find out. I will be finding out tonight as I'll be heading right after this show. That's why we won't go too long. I'll be going out to the theater tonight to go ahead and take a look at this hopefully awesome film, game-changing, hopefully. Either way it goes, I'm going to let you know. I'm going to let you know if it missed the mark, if it hit the mark. And, usually what happens with things like this, anytime UFO news comes out, just in side note, we also have the UFO files dump number 3 release today as well, which I'm sure they held it for today for a reason because it's Disclosure Day. And we're going to check and see if there's some interesting things in there. But even when you look at UFO files, you look at the potential of what this movie Disclosure Day is or isn't. You always have a group of individuals who are not impressed, right? So they'll walk in, they'll say, nothing to see here. It was a nothing burger. But I found that generally, even though that ends up being the outlook for a lot of people, there still ends up being like some nuggets there that a lot of people miss, or even just in a different way to look at either what was said or even more importantly, what wasn't said. We can usually find a silver lining in it all. So I'll be looking for that and then definitely pointing out what things that I felt were important. We'll have our guest Kevin Day joining us tomorrow. Everything's set up. So I sent the message to him today as well, letting him know what we're doing here. And everything looks to be a go. So we should be having an awesome show tomorrow night. Because as I said, and I'll also bring this up again tomorrow, Spielberg talks about, part of the research to making this film took him down a path of checking out the Tic Tac incident, which means that some of these things that he viewed or consumed in research for the film likely motivated potentially some of the things that were done in the film. So I wouldn't be shocked to see some Tic Tac references in the film. If so, Kevin Day should feel really proud of being a part of that. incident, as he was the radar operator that initially saw these objects coming in from 80,000 feet, coming in from space essentially, because the Navy radar picks up at 80,000 feet. So these things were likely coming in from higher than that, from space likely, dropping down to the surface of the ocean in less than a second or even a second. Either way, super duper fast. Nothing that we're doing here. And I'm so excited to go see the movie and then sit down and have conversation with the gentleman who was a part of that. And as you've seen on previous interviews, he definitely wears his emotions on his sleeve. But I hope for this to be a really impactful show. So make sure you're here for that. If you haven't subscribed to this channel, it would be awesome for you to do that. Hit the notification bell. We got a lot of good stuff coming up here going over the summer. So this is going to be the place for everybody to come and have a great time. So with that being said, let me go ahead and do a couple things here. I want to say hi to, I know some people came on in here early, so I want to say hi. Make sure we recognize Woo Riders DG. Derek Galloway for stepping in the building, man. Greetings, salutations, fellow Earthlings and hybrids alike. Appreciate you. And I got to put this up there, man. God bless to all. I got to agree with Derek Galloway. God bless to all. Treat each other right. That's what this is all about. Let's see. We got Roger Murray out there saying, hello, Rob G. I'm back in the hospital again. Oh, man. I definitely hate that for you. Hopefully you get a speedy recovery. Roger Murray said he should be out next week. Can't wait. Kevin Day tomorrow. Awesome, man. I really hope you really enjoy the show that we put on tomorrow. And we're gonna do what we always do, Roger Murray. So you don't worry about that there, fella. Just get better there. Cosmic Joe is in the building saying good evening, Cosmic Joe. Thanks for coming on in. Appreciate you showing on up. Ms. Catherine Jones is in the building saying, hey, Mr. Rob G. Right back at you, Miss Catherine. I appreciate you showing on up here tonight to the show. And did we have anybody else jump in here? I think we had Got White Ink. Looks hokey like all his movies. I don't know. It could be, and I'll be finding out here tonight. Got White Ink. So come back tomorrow, and we'll talk about if you were right or not. But let's see who else we got. Roger Murray saying Kevin Day for president. Okay. I don't know. I don't know what a lot of his views are. He seems like a really cool dude. I don't know. I don't know just yet, Roger Murray. We'll have to see. We'll make our decision after tomorrow night's show. Let's see. The Jaquetta stepping in saying hello, friends, with the wavy hand emoji. Appreciate you showing on up. Derek Galloway chiming in saying the Disclosure Day movie is underwhelming. Oh, don't want to hear that. But I don't know. See, a lot of people will say that, but there's things, and watch, I can guarantee that I'll walk away from this with some things that maybe people didn't realize in the first watch, right? So I'll be taking notes, trying to, take in the movie, but then also attempting to take notes at the same time for us to talk about tomorrow night. So it'll be a balancing act for me. Let's see. All right, looks like we are current for now. So once again, welcome to the Friday Night Live calling show. We do appreciate you guys coming on in. As always, we do have a phone number here, and this is the number to the show. You should always have this, so make sure you put this in your phone book, in your Rolodex. 1856, or let's go with 856-843-3444, or that's 856 the dig if you're outside the United States, though, because some of you want to dial 001 first, then dial 856-843-3444, or that would be 001-856 the dig. Guys, we're on the road to 1,000 subscribers. We're almost at 7 right now, which is awesome. So a few more subscribers here. We could get those tonight. So if you are here for the first time, consider hitting that subscribe button and taking us over 700 tonight. That would be an awesome thing, an awesome accomplishment, because these type of conversations are ones that they should be for everybody, but they aren't necessarily, because a lot of people tune in for entertainment and stories, right? Stories that you really can't prove. But we're here trying to take the facts that we have within the community and get answers for those. So that's not always a fun thing to do, right? For a lot of people. But if you're trying to get to the answers, this is the place to be. And we're right about, I think, 698. We're at the start of the show. So hopefully we can get over 700 here tonight. That'd be awesome. KAS360, appreciate you coming on in saying, hey, Rob. Hey, right back to you. Appreciate you showing up here to the Friday Night Live calling show. Once again, we won't be doing too much tonight. We will be going over the UFO files that were dropped here today, at least the videos, maybe talk about some of these things. Because right after this show, I'm preparing to go to the theater to see Disclosure Day for our review show tomorrow. So with that being said, we also have memberships available. Become a social soldier today. You can do that at any time by hitting the link that you'll find in each and every video in the description section. What memberships do, and also super chat, super thanks. Those all go help to putting on a better show. Allows us to raise the bar quality wise, production wise, and helps pay for some of these streaming services, which, because those streaming services are getting greedy, they are raising their prices all the time, making it harder for smaller content creators to stay afloat, right, in this streaming world, right? So those always help, and I appreciate anybody that does that. Definitely helps out the show, shows that you support the show. Really just showing up as well shows that you support the show. And also hitting that like button, which is so very important. There's three things that really, for the next little while, you'll hear me talking a lot about. That is hitting the like button, because it lets YouTube know that you guys are interacting with the show. So that's a great way to help out here. Also, leaving a comment after the show just to say, hey, great show, or hey, I saw this way and you said this, just whatever you might want to chime in and say. Leaving a comment goes so far to help out small content creators like myself, to let YouTube know that we're doing some real stuff over here, as well as hitting I think the hype button. There's a hype button there. All those things are free. Those things do help this show. So I'd appreciate if you guys would consider doing that as well. And we're going to go ahead and let's see. I think that's about it before we get into the show. Yeah. So once again, UFO files drop, and the third dump. And you might have seen some of the videos floating around online. I didn't really look at too many of them because I wanted to save them for tonight. So actually tonight, as we play this will be the first time I'm also seeing the videos as well. So we'll be able to take a look at these videos, see what we think about them, and see if this was if it lives up to what you would hope to come out of government disclosure, right? I'm still in the boat of they won't release it all, because we're on round 3, and I feel like they should be releasing the 4K images at this point. If you're gonna be real transparent and you want this to be about transparency, I'm feeling like we should be at the point where you're releasing the photos that really bring it home, that really show exactly what these things are. If we're not doing that yet, and if we're not talking about the bodies, right? So we know the craft are there. Let's get into showing some images of the biologics that you have retrieved. That should be on the table if we're talking about UFO files being released. We know you have the videos and photos of that. So let's get some biologics shown in some of these dumps if we're really talking about transparency and UFO disclosure. Yes, super crazy movie geek, a trunch. Miss Catherine Jones said, don't hold your breath. Yeah, and that's how I'm feeling. But that's how you call them out, right? On the face of it, don't act like you're being transparent, right? Without completely being transparent. I have a feeling, and I'm going to do a whole separate video on this, but, obviously, when you talk about the government, a lot of the things they do or don't do are often wrapped up or tied up in some sort of political angle, or a way for to earn points politically. And without getting into politics, I'm going to do a show where I think we should probably be concerned about how this is going to play out. But you'll hear more from me on that. So make sure that you're subscribed to the channel, hit the notification bell so you know when that video comes out. Because once again, we do have tough conversations on this channel. Sometimes they're not for everybody. They're not going to make you smile all the time. They're not going to make you laugh, but they are definitely going to be real conversations, and that's what we do. So without further delay, let me go ahead. I want to bring up the first video. I think there was about 9 total. I believe 6 of them were actual videos, and then 3 of them appear to be, because I haven't checked them out yet, but they appear to be audio from NASA. So some sort of past space mission. So we're going to find out once again together for the first time here. Let me go ahead and bring the first one up. We're going to watch it all the way through. I'll bring it up full screen for you guys, remove the banner, and then once it's over, we'll come back on and discuss it. And here we go. So some of these may not have sound. I'm not sure exactly what this one is. To me, and maybe it's in the actual, because there's documents that were downloaded as well. Maybe some of the documents point to what this particular one was. And this just came out hours ago, obviously, so we're going to find out more. But this kind of looks like some of the videos from the whole drone situation that happened recently. I wouldn't be shocked if it was. As we go ahead and watch this video, let me remove my banner here so you can see this here. All right, so this video is still going, so the object has disappeared, but it should come back on the screen, I'm assuming here, because we're almost about a third of the way through the video. So we should anticipate seeing more. Okay, there we go. The initial object did look like the drones, where it showed almost like the underside of a fixed wing sort of object. But if you remember in the whole drone situation, a lot of people, well, and I had video, and maybe we can bring that up later, but people were talking about these things that looked like physical things that were morphing into orb-shaped objects and vice versa, orb-like objects that were morphing into these physical sort of objects. So very interesting, at the least. I'll go ahead and let this video play for a little bit here. Chime back in a moment. I wish they would zoom in on this object a little more. Would probably be a lot more compelling. Once again, we got the Jaquetta actually saying still looks like drones. Yeah, it really definitely reminds me of that. Cosmic Joe says specs. Yeah, I would want, obviously, if they're going to release videos, to release some of the best stuff they have. Last dump, we had a lot of redundant videos, which are showing the white spherical objects, which we know are definitely out there. But they didn't really add to the conversation, right? Just pretty much confirm that the white spherical objects are definitely out there. But this right here, and here's the thing, and this video is almost over, so we'll kind of finish more of the talk here. We'll see if it comes back up. Remember, we're just playing the raw video files, file by file here. There were 7, I believe 6 or 7 videos with objects, and then 3 audio videos from NASA. So this one is almost over here, right? Okay, nope, that one is over. So it's playing back again, but just let me try to go back right there, see if we can. Okay, so that object right there, I'm just pausing it there. So I wish we could zoom in on this, but that object appears to have 3 corners. if you didn't have any more data on it, I would, let me see. It's not symmetrical, it doesn't look like. It looks like one end points out further than the other points. But it does have like a light in the middle as well. And a lot of people who talk TR3B are probably going to point to this video and try to say TR3B. I just know that it's strange, and this is some of what we were seeing during the New Jersey drones flap. So let me bring myself back on the screen here, because here's one of the things. I'm under the belief, and the reason why I'm under the belief, because for a fact, if we had a 2-month period, if this is from that, and even if this wasn't, there was a 2-month period where we had these objects in the sky, and they were coming like clockwork every day, probably roughly right around sunset, and they would stick around for 6-7 hours, just in the sky, no need to refuel or recharge, or they were just there. And there's no way in the world that over that 2-month period that we did not get a very close up image of what it was, of what they were. There's no way in the world. So in these dumps, we need to have, at the very least, give me one dump full of what these New Jersey objects were. Because you have the close-up images for sure. You have the close-up video for sure. So we need to that needs to be included in some of these dumps in order for this to be a genuine effort at disclosure. Maybe some of these other videos will kind of change my mind on that, but yeah, this first one was I don't know. I don't know where you put that, but I wouldn't call that particular video disclosure. So let me remove that one here. We'll get to the second one here in the list. Appears none of these may have sound. Let me get this one up. Definitely strange, right? Two red or orangish orbs. You hear a lot of the time about orbs being this color. Normally when we see videos, we see them as white objects, white orbs usually. One thing that does stand out for me is that they talked about the video that James Fox had talked about with the guy from Area 51. I forgot what the guy's name was, but he had the video from the 90s. These guys in a car, and there was a red object that was supposedly hovering over their car, and you saw the red light shining in the windows. One of the guys got out the car and briefly, for a very short moment, filmed what appeared to be this orangish reddish glowing sort of looked like sort of a spherical not spherical, but disc shaped object. To me in the beginning looked like cheesy FX, right? Cheesy special effects. But when if you were to look at that back in the 90s and try to take something away from that to say, okay, what is there any nugget in that? And one of the constants across the board is that you do have these orangish, reddish, glowing objects that are out there. And either they knew that and depicted that in that video, or potentially there's some sort of connection with that and some of the other orangish, reddish, glowing, anomalous things that have been captured, like in this video and then also in other videos by experiencers. So I think this one is, we're almost done with this one. These all appear to be pretty short videos. So what I'll do as well is I'm going to compile a video with all these in them, and I'll release those at a later time. Just one like compilation video full of these for your viewing pleasure. You can show them to other people as well. But I need something zoomed in, right? A lot of this far off stuff is cool. There's no way that they observed these things and did not attempt to zoom in at some point. So I would assume that this is the part of the video where they did not zoom in. And I think that video is over. Yep. So once again, yeah, just another video with a couple dots in the sky, guys. Maybe this time what happens is the documents end up being more compelling than the video release. But if we, at this point so far, we still have a handful of these remaining, but, there's going to be a point in time where we are 6 dumps in, right? To where we have a decent enough sample size of the videos that they are releasing. And if they all continue to be on the level of just spots in the sky and far off views, then I think you'll be able to, at that point, understand what the effort for this, what they're calling UFO file release or UFO disclosure is really all about. And I would think if you're going to wait for the day the disclosure day comes out, you release all the best stuff. It would be perfect to do so. So far, I'm underwhelmed, guys. So far, underwhelmed. And there's going to be people out there, oh my God, at least the government is releasing stuff. At least they're being open. No, that's not enough, guys. Don't settle for that. Don't settle for we should feel okay because the government is actually really, they should, what you need to understand when you say something like that is none of this should be secret. All of this stuff should be out, period. So it should all be released day one, everything that they have, instead of drip by drip by drip. Now, if they get to some really good stuff, then I'll eat my words on some of this stuff. But if this is going to be, the way we're going to go with it, I don't want to hear anybody else still trying to, you know, to speak up for the government saying, hey, they're being more transparent than they've ever been. Now, it doesn't appear to be that, guys. This is stuff you can go see if you go stand outside yourself. There are so many experiencers that have filmed exactly this, and in some cases even better. So where does this, how is this, how should you feel any different kind of way about how the government's handling this just because they're giving you some videos? And there's going to watch you look around, and there's going to be some creators out there, some show hosts who are going to say, man, you should give it up for the government. They're being transparent, man. I'm not with that, guys. I'm not with it. So a few more videos. Hopefully we get into something that that is compelling. Because right now we're not there. Let me get another one up here. And let's check this one out. Let me remove our banner here and let's go. This one visually is a little more interesting. Whatever this light is appears to be reflecting off the cloud. What how if this is a perspective from the ground looking up and the clouds are right next to it, or if this is a perspective from above the clouds and the clouds are below, definitely makes a difference. But we've seen orbs. It's pretty cool that it's you can see it shining off the cloud, but hopefully we get something anomalous happening here. Okay, there's a zoom in. Not that great of a zoom in, but Maybe for someone who hasn't ever seen anything or didn't know that UFOs were real, maybe they see this and it's kind of amazing to them, like, wow, oh my gosh, there are things out there. I can see the value in that for this particular video. If I had never seen anything, or I'm just coming into the conversation, and then we see this and we know that this is up there somewhere in the clouds and it's kind of just sitting there stationary. I think you could take some value from that in that particular scenario. But what other observations did they make of this? If this is a drone that's like a Reaper drone or some sort of military drone that's taking this image, they zoomed in closer for sure. There's no way they just take this far out zoom and this is just what they have. There's definitely got to be more to this. So hopefully it gets a little more exciting for the for us in the community and experiencers. This isn't that exciting, I'm sure, but once again, there is value there for someone who hasn't seen anything, just to get to the understanding that there's something weird up there. But then, even in that case, I'm sure there's that same person who's just coming in and saying, "Whoa, that's weird," has a lot more questions to ask after that. And that's where we need to get to, is questions being asked or answered rather. And just don't know if any of this does that, if this answers any questions. It's a cool video. It's okay. It's not in my top five, but like I said, there's some value here for this particular video. There is some value that you can get out of this. And I wonder, now that I'm looking at it here, I wonder if this was taken like on a phone, obviously, since this is in portrait mode. If this was like a pilot potentially using his phone to take this visual, if this is in the sky, right? If we're looking at clouds that are beneath the object, and this would be from, obviously something in the sky, but if this is from the ground, I guess in either case, I just got to ask you guys, whoever's catching these videos or anyone that may in the future catch a video, turn your phone sideways. You get a lot more data. You capture a lot more data that way. I don't know why people are satisfied with trying to catch things in portrait mode. Portrait mode is for selfies. Portrait mode is not for UFOs, guys. Just putting that out there. Portrait mode is for selfies, not for capturing UFOs. Let's see. Let's get to the next video here. This is the one they show on the news here. Now this is the one they're showing. I like this. I like this. But portrait mode once again is I don't know why. So someone is obviously on the ground capturing this, likely with their phone. How someone capturing this with their phone gets into the government's possession, right? So did they confiscate someone's phone video? How does this work? There's some questions there. Obviously, this is probably one of the most clear videos that I've seen come out of any of the dumps. That's it. That was quick. Let's watch that again. Sure, you'll get someone zooming in on these things. But obviously, these are, if you see this, if anyone sees this, if you're outside and you see this happening, then you have to be. This is something that probably changes you as far as your understanding of this world that we live in. So yeah, I like this one. I would like to know the chain of custody, where this was filmed, who filmed it. Could it be explained away as a couple drones, right? Couple quadcopters with lights on them? Is that possible? That's the other part about this is unfortunately by them omitting date or information from these videos, then there's going to be a lot of infighting on what exactly this might be. When you say, is this a drone? Let's run it again. I would like to think that if they could validate this and if we can get chain of custody and all that good stuff to confirm that, this is what it is, then this would be, you know, in a lot of spaces, probably on one of the more compelling uh, captures out there. As bright as these things are, they look pretty low, like they're pretty low. They're very defined. And it reminds me of way before I got into UFOs, when I was still living up in Northern California, Sacramento. I was on my way to work one day, and I go through these streets, and I get to a main road that connects with the highway, and there was these. This is before I didn't know what orbs or any of this stuff was, right, at this time, but it was so strange because they were balls of light, and I didn't know what they were. So my instinct was to get out and film them. And I don't know if I still have them like in my Google database somewhere, but I got out. It's probably 2012, somewhere in there. I get out, and there's these few balls in the sky, and I just wrote them off as like Chinese lanterns at the time, but I just thought they were so out of place and so strange that I stopped to film them. That's kind of what that video reminds me of, but these ones obviously I saw were white in color, and who knows what, I'm not saying that they were anything anomalous, but when you see things like that, you have to get the explanation behind it, right? Because if my video was out there the one I caught that night, it would be very close to what we're seeing here. Just no explanation behind it, and it could be like, hey, it's something that is explainable. So if we can determine that that's actually anomalous and find out who filmed it, where it came from, just one of the things that I say again would bother me is, excuse me, the fact that these look like they're being filmed on a phone, and then so where is the government allowed to step in and confiscate those sort of videos? So what is the process behind that, right? If you have a personal phone that you take video with, and maybe someone in the military can explain that to us or give us an answer, but is it automatically something that can be confiscated, right? Because if so, it would appear that that's what happened here, that this would have been filmed on a phone and ended up in the government database to be released in a UFO file. So I would like to know more about that. But if we find out that's anomalous, then yeah, that's pretty compelling, right? What we just witnessed there. Well, let's get on to the next one here. So yeah, I think we got a couple more. This one and I think another one. As far as video goes, and let's take a look at this one here. Also, the red color. This is one I saw on the news as well. This is, yeah. This is strange. This almost seems fake. When I saw this, I'm like, it doesn't even look like it's part of the film or the video. So I don't know if this is a recreation or, but it definitely doesn't look real. Maybe this is just depicting what someone saw, an object with three orbs coming out of it, and then the main object disappearing. Maybe this is just, something that someone saw. Once again, information would be nice to have with these videos, but, maybe there's a document, once again, in the document folder that talks about that. We'll see if we can look at a couple of documents after this. Maybe it does that, but I don't see, obviously, that has to be a recreation because it does not look real at all. And take a look at that again before we move to the next one here. I would think if here's my thing, right? Obviously, it looks like this is a recreation and not real. But I would ask the question, if you're going to do a recreation, why are you doing it in frames instead of just doing a fluid video of what the object did, right? Why wouldn't this just be a fluid video showing the object coming in and then objects coming out of it? Why wouldn't this just be a fluid video? Would be the question I would have. But it obviously does not look real. Okay, we'll move on from that. Obviously, once again, that's probably a recreation, but uh, just a lot of questions, right? How helpful is that? How helpful is releasing data if you're just going to leave everybody? And that's what I said during the other shows that we did. That doing this way is going to be more harmful than helpful to the conversation. What we're going to here's my prediction. What we're going to end up with is a bunch of files that they threw on our plate, and we're going to be, well, not me, I'm not going to be doing that, but someone is going to be spending so much time, so much of their time trying to parse through the videos and the data and trying to line up this with that. It is going to be a wild goose chase. Whoever ends up taking their time to try to connect dots on all this stuff that they're releasing may be doing it, without any real results, and with something that's truly designed to waste your time, because this could literally, if they were doing this, if they were being not being disingenuous with the releases, which is how I feel, all this stuff would be packed with data. Someone could have taken the time to include this video with data in the video, letting us know what it was we were seeing and what was going on. It would have took no time for someone to sit up and edit that in there. Say, put a splash screen on that says this object was spotted XYZ, filmed on XYZ on this particular date, and came from this particular file. Takes a few seconds to put that on one of these videos. And that's what they should be doing at the very least. But because they're not doing that, it would seem like they want you to use your time to go out there and try to put that together. And then you look up to realize that you've been wasting your time, but who cares? Because kicking the can down the road is the objective. That's the objective. So once again, let's go ahead and move into, I think this is the final video. Then we also have some audio to check out here. So let's take a look at the last video in this dump. That's laughable. Let's take a look at it again. Okay, what is that trying to depict? Let me play that again because I missed that the first time. There's these two orbs on the far left, yellow orbs or amber orbs. Okay, so these are flying across the valley in the desert somewhere, I'm assuming. Okay, and they are what, meeting up with these orbs that are sitting on the hillside? Is that what we're supposed to get from that? That's no better than a story. That's a story might even be more compelling than that. How do you walk away from that feeling that you gained anything from that? What were you seeing? What the explanation, if you had someone here that had the information, they were able to provide you an explanation of what you were actually seeing, it would probably be totally different than the conclusion that we just came to, right? There lies the problem. There lies the problem. This is put out there in order for you to speculate, create ideas of what you might be seeing, which is not helpful. It's not useful at all. Ah, man, let me see what people are saying about this. You can't be satisfied with any of this. I'm going back to Miss Catherine's quote or message here. Don't hold your breath. And for you, Miss Catherine, round of freaking applause. If you held your breath for that dump, not good. Now the NASA stuff we're about to play might be more compelling, right? Because these are astronauts in space giving their audio of potentially something that they saw. So this might turn out to be the nugget in this drop here. But before we play that, let me see what else anyone had to say about this. Yeah, Roger Murray, footage worse. The footage is the worst that the government has released. Essentially, I cannot disagree with you on that. Super crazy movie geek. Can we call them releases though? Really? Yeah, really don't think we could potentially call these releases. Uh, it it falls more under the label of obfuscation and more misdirection, if you ask me. But in understanding that, because watch, just look around the community, look at other individuals that are going to talk about these releases, and make sure you mark down the ones that are saying, "Oh boy, the government, we're so glad the government's being transparent. Oh my gosh." Those people that take that view of this, you need to watch out for those people. The people that look at this as a plus, a people who are patting the government on the back for this being the third release, those people you need to watch. That's a fact. Earlier, the Jaquetta was saying, "True, Mr. Rob," on something I said previously, not on what I just said, I'm sure. But appreciate you. Roger Murray, my cousin Jackie saw New Jersey drones, and a lot of people did, and their descriptions of what they saw were way more compelling than any of the stuff we saw. Make one drop about the New Jersey drones. Just do that. If you want to show, you know, an effort for transparency, just take what you filmed from New Jersey, guys. We know you did. We know you have clear pictures of what those were. They posed for you in the sky. The New Jersey drones posed for you in the sky, gave you 60 days, 8 hours a day opportunity for you to film and take pictures and all of the sort. There's no way in the world the government does not have whatever those were crystal clear in 4K. That's what we want. Give us those. If you want to be transparent, give us those. Let's see. What else do we have out there? We can zoom in. Miss Catherine says, I enlarge the orbs. And unfortunately, with this streaming service we have here, it doesn't let you do that. So maybe what I'll do on my off time, and maybe we can show those during tomorrow night's show. I'll see if I can create a video where we've zoomed in on some of these things. But the one video we saw with the two red orbs floating across, I think someone out there has already done that. And there was one other one that would be interesting to see more up front, and I'll just grab those videos because I know somebody else has done that already. Super crazy movie. He's saying maybe the government didn't want to overshadow the movie Disclosure Day, and it's going to be night and day, I think, as far as what we gain from these files versus the information that might be provided in this movie Disclosure Day, which once again I'll be going to see right after we finish this show. The Jaquetta, I feel they are releasing this sort of video for folks to bah humbug UFOs. That too. Yeah, I like that. The Jaquetta, applause for that. I like that. I like that. And where we had more of a clear idea of where we were going direction-wise, what better thing for the government to do than to throw a bunch of stuff on your plate for you to sift through, right? You're almost done doing your job. You're almost done. You've organized some things, and then somebody comes and throws a load of dirty clothes in your lap, right? And it's like, I got to sift through all this. I got to, you have a lot of work to do before you can get back to where you were. And this is, I think, one of the objectives here, and I like this. For some of the ones out there that may be tuning in for interest in what this might be, and they're seeing this, and they're like, I'll go back to what I was doing. There's nothing to see here, obviously. Yeah, I can get that, the Jaquetta, and I appreciate that comment. Roger Murray says, don't trust the government. And I got to tell you, there's not really many reasons for you to not have that opinion. Ms. Catherine Jones saying it's over a pond, and I think referring to one of the other videos we were looking at. I agree. The Jaquetta, OMG, I can't believe they couldn't secure a sharper image. And they did. And that's the problem. Why aren't we seeing the sharper images? Excuse me. Thought I muted myself, but I didn't. Sorry about that. Where are the sharper images? Miss Catherine, where are the football field size orbs and ships? Right? These are questions that the people have. This reminds me of other file releases that our government has done recently. And I said this before. There was no reason for this not to follow the same path as other files that the citizens have asked for. So it's the same playbook, guys. It's the same playbook mixed in with the same historical playbook on UFOs in general. The Jaquetta agrees. I know, right, Miss Catherine? The Jaquetta, I agree. Good video. Where are the military helicopters checking these out? Exactly. Roger Mary reminds me Gulf Breeze, Florida UFO in the 80s. Miss Catherine saying not a drone. Super crazy. Is there any UFO footage taken by civilian drone cameras? That's a good question, actually. I would like to know that. That's a good question, Super Crazy Movie Geek. I would hope that, but what they were saying during the whole drone thing is that there were, a lot of the time when people were trying to get close to these things, the objects would move off. You know, the reason why I'm pointing to government is because the government has so many surveillance assets at its hand, different platforms versus satellites looking down, drones in the sky, assets on the ground, so many different assets with super high resolution camera and video capabilities that the government for sure has whatever they were super crystal clear. And Super Crazy confirms that, yeah, what we were looking at is artistic recreation. Okay. And it appeared to be that. Let's see. Cosmic Joe saying, hey, 2027, we will all know the cosmic truth. Let's see. Super Crazy Movie Geek agrees. Yeah, the info should have been in the video. At the very least. And the fact that it isn't, why? Right? Then it's like, then you know why. They could have made it a lot easier, but why didn't they do it knowing that this was supposed to be this big thing that was supposed to be done? So, okay, you released the footage this week or on a Friday. We'll kick it off to the next Friday so you take the time to put in the data on the video. This was only 6 videos. You could have easily hired someone to go ahead and do that or just done it yourself. It would have taken you 45 minutes to add a splash screen for each one of these videos that says, hey, this is what the object is, just a screen full of information, and then move into the video. Simple. Hey, Danny Hawk, appreciate you coming on in. Hey, UFO TJ, what's good? Appreciate you showing on up. Let's see. Hey, Missing Time 420, appreciate you coming on in. Missing Time 420, what drop number do you think will get any crashes? Missing Time 420, that's, my friend, is not going to come. That's going to be hand in hand with footage or images of biologics. And we know they have that data. That should forget all this other stuff. We want to see that stuff, the crashes, Mr. Time 420. We want to see the crashes, like you're alluding to here, like you're pointing out. We should be getting that, right? That's what we want to see. If you're doing what this is supposed to do, and maybe they're going to step back and say, hey, you just asked us to release UFO files, and that's what we're doing. So maybe we should be more specific in the request. So no. We don't want UFO files. We have UFO files. We have a huge database of the same type of videos and images. That's not what we're looking for. We could show you, we could probably give you more UFO files than what you're showing here. We don't want that. We want the crashes. We want the biologics that were taken from the crashes. We want those images and videos. That's what we want. That's what we want. Super crazy movie. No sharper image. No Radio Shack, nothing. I wish I had a laugh track for that, but I'll give you a round of applause. That was hilarious. Danny Hawk, I don't believe I'll continue to be played by the government politicians. Gaslighted my entire life. I'm good. In the worlds of Zro, I don't need no help. I can do bad on my own on zero. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I get you on that. And I'm agreed with that. In agreement with you on that. Um, and maybe that's why I can't wait to go see this movie because I'm in the belief that this movie is going to, and the one I'm talking about, Disclosure Day, I'm going to see tonight. Like soon as we leave the show tonight, I'm under the hope that the movie fills in some blanks in what we've come to know from, say, whistleblowers. Some of the things they're unable to say, I'm hoping is touched on in this film. I'm hoping I'm able to walk away from the movie with a more complete picture of some of the stuff that we don't know that the government may be withholding, right? Because I say that because you have whistleblowers who could fill in some of those blanks, but NDAs won't allow them to do that. But if you have a filmmaker that is made aware of what those blanks are behind the scenes, then they have the ability to take that information and relay it through film, right? And I'm hoping that some of that takes place in this movie, even if it's just one thing that we didn't know before. Is I'm considering that a win. If we walk out of this movie with even one thing that makes the picture a little more clear, I think we win. I think the movie is a win if that happens. Excuse me. Mr. Time 420, I found it interesting. Most of the prior videos were from adversary locations, almost like they want to say how close watch more. So, wait, almost like they want to say how close watch more, so then how much they know. Okay, I'm gonna try to process that one for missing 420. Let's see. Kim Jellin in the building, please. Yes, she has the right idea. Please consider taking time and hitting that like button. It'd be awesome if you would consider doing that. And I appreciate you coming on in, Kim Jellin. Nice to see you here. Um, Cat Tongue 96, bro. It looked like they gave us an AI remake of an encounter. Round of applause. Yeah, yeah, funny. But I thought, it was obviously some sort of artistic recreation, which Super Crazy Movie Geek pointed out earlier. Awesome. Saying what the heck and shouting out UFO TJ. Gonna sound good on the 100. Gonna sound good on the 100. You guys will know more about what that is. Just remember that. Remember this statement. Remember this comment. Gonna sound good on the 100. UFO TJ. Appreciate that. And that'll make sense, guys, sometime soon here. Let's see. Who else do we have? Yeah, start there. Roger Murray. Round of applause for you. I'm sorry. Doing a lot of applausing, but you guys are coming in with some really great stuff tonight. Rob G. They never come clean about Roswell crash, July 7th, 1947. Let's start there. You're right, Roger Murray. That's kind of what the idea behind the release of the UFO files was. Start at the beginning, guys. We know Roswell crash happened first. We're assuming that's where you're going to start with this. We want that. You guys have data from that for sure. Where is that at? Roger Murray, good stuff, man. They're losing sight of what this is supposed to be. This is supposed to be the government coming clean about the UFO secret. Not a couple of videos that they have, but coming clean about the fact that extraterrestrials are here, that we're engaging with them, and that this is some sort of intelligent presence. That's supposed to be the goal of what this UFO file release is supposed to be about, and they're reframing their idea of what it should be by doing what they're doing right now. And once again, I think probably the gems of tonight are going to be in these three NASA audio that we have here. We're going to get to that. I'm just trying to get current on the comments real quick. Super Crazy saying, do you think journalists like Jeremy Corbell and George Knapp are going to start dropping leaked videos? They need to. And here's what I'm going to say. Here's what I'm going to say about journalists out there that have things that they aren't releasing. Give me 1 second here. Thank you. So journalists like Jeremy Corbell, George Knapp, Ross Coulthard, others that obtain information and then eventually release it. And I'm sure they'll have reasons or explanations why they do it the way they do it. But I would hope that, I'll say this historically, and I've given Jeremy Corbell and George Knapp props on this particular aspect. Historically, I have seen situations where we were waiting for the government to do something, and I'll use the NASA Arrow hearing, if you remember that, where Sean Kirkpatrick got up there with NASA and they simply tried to debunk the whole alien presence, said there was nothing to see here. Speaking, Kirkpatrick speaking on behalf of Arrow, NASA stepped up and said, yep, we don't see anything, no proof of alien life. And then right after that, we had, I think it was actually Ross Coulthard in this case. Then we had Jake Barber step out in that whole situation that kind of raised attention on the UFO subject. So I've seen strategically the fact that they do hold back information, they are able to use it in certain situations to further the conversation. So I will say that they have, I applaud them for doing that, because I think it's a good balance on forcing the government to do certain things at a time where if they didn't have the ammo, talking about Corbell and Knapp and Coulthard, if they didn't have the ammo in their pocket to force a conversation, then the government would have shut this down a long time ago. So you never want to shoot off all your ammo at one go. But I understand the flip side of it, where someone is like, this, we could be in disclosure right now if you just release everything you have. I can see that angle too, in how someone would think that. I thought that myself at one point in time. But here's the thing with that. What happens if you shoot off all your ammo and you don't get the result that you think you're going to get? Then you're out of ammo. Then you're at a disadvantage, and potentially the conversation could shift in a different direction. So I think I really would, I kind of hate sometimes where it seems like, I have the information that could break this open. Just like the Coulthard UFO so big, they had to build a building around there. Everybody's like, well, just tell us, because obviously this is going to bring disclosure in the moment we know. And I think I've even said that before. But when you sit back and think about it, it's like, if all that information were to come out and there was no reaction to it as far as movement goes, then I think you just shot your load for no reason at all. And so I can see you got to balance that kind of, and you got to kind of stay in the middle, because I can see how, I made comments on both sides of that conversation. So that's a great freaking question there, Super Crazy Movie Geek. Great freaking question. Cat Tongue saying, Cat Tongue 96, rumors going around saying there's footage of a very close helicopter encounter with the fiery orb. I wouldn't doubt that. Man, there's Lou Elizondo has said at times that he saw a video himself of, I guess, maybe a drone aspect of it because it's looking down on the Gulf of Mexico. He talks about this oil platform in the Gulf, which we know those are super huge. If anyone doesn't know what that is, if you ever seen the movie Armageddon, they're working on that big oil platform. So he said he saw a video with one of those being filmed from the sky and an object underwater that was bigger than the platform that kind of just shot across the screen at super fast speed. That's the video I want to see. I want to see that. So I wouldn't discount the fact that they do have a video with the fiery orb. I'm sure they have a bunch of stuff as well. Saying he's not sure how true that was and stays very close. I always go back to as well as the Tom DeLonge video where he talks about, I think he says again, this happened over in Italy, where they were on the coast of Italy on this particular, I don't remember what part of Italy this was, but on the coastline there were some buildings that had been in homes that had been catching on fire. And I guess the government there figured out that it was these UAP that they were seeing off the coast were firing what he says were like energy weapons, and they were catching these buildings on fire. He said that the military went out there in a civilian helicopter, unmarked, went out over the water towards where these things were being seen. And he said that that a USO, an unidentified submersible object, popped up out of the water, shot the helicopter, and then went back down into the water. So I don't know if they filmed that. I don't know if there's images of that. But that's the story that he tells here. Yep, Cat Tongue. Yeah, Rob, not sure if it's on video, though. We'll see, I suppose. Yeah, even if that particular incident isn't on camera, Cat Tongue, there's a many a more close up. And I think that's the thing to take away is where are the close up images? Where are the images of the object being 10 feet away? 100 feet even? Where are those? That's close enough to make out exactly what it is we're seeing. Where are those images? Why are we getting 1,000+ foot away images of what it is we're seeing here? Roger Murray, Rob G. is Cosmic Watergate on June 12th, 1972, breaking Watergate Hotel. This Cosmic Watergate footage part of the cover-up. Roger Murray, we can connect some dots on a lot of stuff, and I see where you're going, but I got some stuff coming up that's going to be, it's going to tie into what's currently going on, but there's an angle to it, and I think it's very important that it's a conversation we should have. So be looking out for that here coming soon. Now I'm going to jump into the first NASA video. I'm sure this has audio on it. So I'll bring it up and then we'll kind of listen to what is being said. And hopefully out of these 3 next NASA videos, these are the ones that really, validate or kind of make this third drop worth it. Hopefully this makes up for the whatever we just got finished seeing. Hopefully this is bringing it home. Let's have a listen here. Let's take a look.
What, do we need a mic? Everybody hear me? Oh, okay. First of all, let me say thank you from SNAD for the scientific help on Apollo 16. I personally think that you all did a very credible job in helping the science support room and pre-flighting to get all the experiments ready to prepare the crew and the flight for Apollo 16. I think that looking back on it now, we can say we had a very successful mission, that we attained a tremendous amount of information from the flight. I know that the rock boxes back there at the curatorial facility are bursting at their seams, and the geologists are going to have a lot to do. I think also that because of the problems that arose and the necessity to change the flight plan, that you responded quite well to get the maximum science out of the time that we had available. I realize that in all of our flights, there hasn't been one flight yet that ran according to schedule. And I am very sure that Apollo 17 will be in the same boat, that we will have to change things real time to get the maximum science out of the mission. And I think the response on this flight was superb. Now today, the briefing here is in two parts and for two purposes. First of all, I'd like each principal investigator to briefly describe the results so far obtained from his work. This is to sort of educate the crew on what we obtained so far from Apollo 16 so that they might have information along that line. Also, I'd like to have him describe any anomalies that might have occurred that we do not know about now. And second, then we'd like to have the PI with the crew working with them to have the crew answer any questions that might still be puzzling him so that he might further his analysis of the data. We have a lot of people to go through today, a lot of science to cover, so we'd like to keep each briefing short, and we don't want to cover things that are that are general knowledge as of today. And we start right out. Let's see. First one is Palmer Dial, Lunar Surface Magnetometer. After each experimenter describes his experiment, we'll have questions, Palmer, so we can ask the crew any questions after your particular talk.
Okay, this one, we're not going to do this one. This one appears to be a pretty freaking long video, actually. Let me see, yeah. That one's over an hour, so we're not going to be able to do that one. Let me see. Let me remove that one. What I'll have to do for the audio, if they're all going to be this long, is I'll have to kind of go through, chop up the audio, and then release it in a UFO Minutes video, which will have simply just the NASA audio from this drop. That one is definitely too long. It's going to be a lot of information, I'm sure, that doesn't even matter or pertain to anything. So let me see if any of these other ones are more concise, like potentially astronauts talking to mission control in the event that they see something, or if they're all going to be these super long videos. Let me check this one out here, see what this one is.
Again, the areas in black are the total area.
Yeah, this one is an hour. Okay, and then what is this one here? All right, this one is only a few minutes long, so maybe there's some good stuff in this one. Let's go ahead and listen to this one real quick.
Gordo, you expressed interest at one time in unidentified flying objects, the feeling that there might be something to all these stories. Do you still feel that way?
Well, I feel that there have been a large number of fairly well qualified, or exceptionally well qualified, I should say, people who have seen objects that have not had any really logical explanation other than this. I think that maybe, in fact, each and every one of them does have an explanation. But I think that there are so many possibilities, so many thousands of possibilities of other planets out somewhere in the universe that would have a livable atmosphere, that I would hate to rule out the possibility that maybe there are people or some type of human life on some of these. And if this is the case, then it's not too unfeasible to think that perhaps some of these objects might have been something of this type.
You don't think that the comparatively short step out into space that the Mercury flight will take you on is far enough out to make any observations in this area?
No, I think we're still at a fairly low order of getting out into space when you speak of space and being millions of miles involved. And we're only getting out 100 miles or so.
What about the so-called Glenn effect, Gordo? The snowflakes, the fireflies. Now both Schirra and Carpenter seem to feel that it's frost of some nature off of the capsule. but apparently Glenn still sort of cast doubt on that theory.
Okay, Piers, that's the end of that audio. And as pointing out here, Super Crazy Movie Geek points out, that being the voice of astronaut Gordon Cooper. We did a show on the previous astronauts that have seen things when they had gone out into space, and that's a good watch. So make sure you go back in our archive right here on this channel, check that show out. We go over all of the Gemini, the Mercury, and the Apollo missions that astronauts had some sort of anomalous activity occur. So definitely jump back in the archive. And I think it was the Artemis 2 show. So if you go back and I think it's titled The Dark Side, What Will Artemis 2 See on the Backside of the Moon? I believe that's the title of the show. It has an image of the moon on it. If you go back and watch that show, we covered the Artemis 2 mission to go around the moon, what they might see on the way, and then also, why we felt like the likelihood of them seeing something would be pretty high based on the amount of activity from previous moon missions. So a great show to go back and watch. So definitely make sure you go back and do that. And with that being said here, I'm getting ready to go see Disclosure Day. I have a ticket here that starts in about an hour. I'm going to see it. I'm going to see if it really is going to have the impact that I hope it will have. And I'll say this quick story real quick before I go. I went to see the last UFO movie I went to see in the theater was the movie Nope. Okay, and everyone saw how they promoted the movie. You saw the trailers, the commercials. It appeared on the surface that Nope was going to be a nuts and bolts UFO movie with gray aliens, right? The way that they framed it in the promo trailers. Then I get to the theater, and this is what I'm expecting, and I watched the movie play out. It took some turns that I didn't think it was going to take, and then it ended, and I'm sitting there during the credits, and I didn't know what to think. I'm just sitting in my seat, and I'm like, okay, so it was alive. The UFO was alive? There was no actual aliens? The UFO is the alien? Then I didn't know what to think. So after a few minutes, I get up and I start walking to my car. By the time I get to the car, then it hits me that this was actually a brilliant way to approach the film. And then I saw the value in it. Because I'm like, I thought about other occasions where experiencers have talked about UFOs seeming like they were alive. And, we've seen these plasma objects that seem to behave intelligently. There's some theories that, there may be some plasma sort of based life, and that there's something to some of these plasma objects being life forms themselves. Then I think about my own sighting where the objects I filmed were metallic. I visually looked at these objects not that far up in the sky, fly right overhead. They were metallic objects, but they behaved as if they were alive. And so it all came around to me in that moment after I watched Nope. And it really hit home for me that that's the angle that he took. And that because of that, it's likely someone told him, he had an advisor, likely, he hasn't confirmed it, but it would appear that he did in that moment because it related to other things that had happened. Now come around to the last UFO release, which I think was probably the biggest thing that I saw come out of this, was the government dropped the video that Jeremy Corbell had already dropped, which was the image of a UFO kind of moving through the clouds, very eerily moving through the clouds. In that image, that video was pretty much spot on to what Jordan Peele depicted in his film. And so for me, that came full circle and led me to believe that there are people advising filmmakers behind the scenes currently right now about some of the anomalous stuff that's out there and giving them nuggets that could only come from some sort of official source. And I'm really hoping that Disclosure Day has also done some of that. I feel like it would have if Jordan Peele can get this sort of data and information. Steven Spielberg has already shown that he's done that with Close Encounters of the Third Kind. And I anticipate this movie to have some of those nuggets in there. I'll let you know, guys. But with that being said, this was the UFO dump number 3. Not giving this a round of applause until I'll look through the documents and see if there's anything there. But as far as video goes, very disappointed. Government, you guys could do better if you're really trying to do this, which we know in the face of it, you're probably not. But with that being said, we'll keep doing shows about it. Make sure you're here tomorrow night for the Disclosure Day review show. All signs point to Kevin Day being here. He hasn't canceled. He's definitely showing that he's coming in to have this conversation. So make sure you tune in to this channel. Make sure you hit the notification bell. We'll be getting started around 7 p.m. Pacific time. Guys, I will see you there. Have a great rest of your night. I'm up out of here. Head to movie theater.